So tell me more about your Kansas arrest. That's fairly recent. And what's your objective there?
So basically what happened was, and this was all on the fly, by the way, it's not like I planned to go out and get arrested.
Okay.
We were driving through Kansas on our way to Wichita to go to a seminar. And it was my girlfriend and I, and they, of course, I'm in her car now. I'm driving, traveling, whatever people want to call it. You know, I don't get into all that so much. But all of a sudden, and what's funny is prior to this, we were watching a YouTube of a guy explain how to handle yourself in front of cops and all. And I was telling her, I'm like, I like this guy. He's right. That is how you should handle yourself. Like totally. No more than an hour later, the lights go on and she's like, well, you going to do this? And I'm thinking, oh, well, why not? Right. Well, let's just see what happens. Because normally what I do, because I understand it's a business transaction, I'll just take the ticket and administrate the business transaction on the back end and make the ticket go away. I've already done that several times. I don't go to court for tickets and argue. No, I pay it. You know how I pay it? I accept it for value and I return it for value, which means they can now use it to create a security and make money off of. There's no dollar bills exchanged when I pay a ticket. It's just simply a writing on the. So for everybody that wants to know what it is, look up acceptance for value US legal. US legal website will tell you what acceptance for value is. It's a commercial transaction. Anyway, so they pull us over and this is all recorded on the website. You go to the services page once you sign our NDA and you click on it, you see the drop down menu. It says Kansas arrest. So now my girlfriend put me to the challenge. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, let's see what these guys do. So I know enough that I'm not going to give them any information without counsel. Once I ask him, am I under arrest? And he says, no. And then I say, you know, am I free to go? Well, no. Well, clearly I'm not free to go. You said no. Or even if you don't say no, I can't leave. That's called a custodial arrest. I'm in custody, even though I'm not in handcuffs. Now, the officer doesn't know that. So I'm going to start this whole thing off being about giving them financial information that I don't have a right to give, which includes the name, the address, and the birth date of the organization. Okay, that's what they're going to ask me for. Officer comes up, hi officer, how you doing? And you'll see in the video, he actually wants me to follow him to chase another car. So because he's going to be fair. He says, I'm going to be fair with you. And I'm going to go get that car too. So follow me so I can get them and I'll pull both of you over. I said, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that, sir. You know, so I cracked my window down 2 inches. And he's like, well, now since now you're upholding me from getting that person, what's your license and all? I said, well, am I under arrest? He said, no. I said, well, then I can't give you any information without counsel because this is an investigation. And under the Fifth Amendment, I have a right to remain silent and I have a right to counsel. I didn't say that part to him, but I know this. Miranda rights don't need to be read to you for you to assert them, right? Mm-hmm. And there's no such thing as a Miranda right. It's a Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, but you can't just sit there mute and not say anything. What you have to say, in my opinion is, or what I have to say is, I can't give you any information without counsel. Now this guy's thinking, oh, we got a live one here, you know, he wants to fight us and we're you know, I'm like, no, hey, look, man, calm down. I'm not trying to be an enemy, a belligerent, or I just know my rights. In his mind, he's thinking I'm going constitutional on him. In my mind, I'm going, no, I'm talking about rights of the estate, rights of the trust. I know what you're after. You don't know what you're after. That's the thing. So I'm going to start playing this as a financial transaction, although the language doesn't even say any of that when I'm talking to him. So you know, he wants to, of course, you know, get my license. So I flashed it to him real quick. I said, I have one. Bam, put it back down. Like, wasn't enough for him to read it, but that's okay. I let him know that I have one. So he goes in. Now more officers show up, right? Now they want to, you know, we're going to break the window. I said, well, before you do that, you better call your superior and get them out here because you guys are on the hook, every single one of you. So you might want to get your superior here so the superior's on the hook, which you guys are on the hook too, but that was my point. So they call superior out, superior comes out, or sorry, they called him on the phone. Now there's 5 cops out there, superior on the phone. You can hear all this on the video, by the way. My girlfriend recorded everything.
Okay, great.
He's trying to tell me we have a right to pull you over and question you in a Terry stop, Terry versus Ohio. And I said, you don't have a right to any of my information. And I'm thinking Terry versus Ohio. Well, I'm not familiar with that one, so I'm not going to comment on that too much on the phone. But once I looked it up, when I actually got to the computer later, a few days later, I was like, dude, he's totally wrong. A Terry stop only happens when there's suspicion of a crime. There was no suspicion of a crime. I got pulled over for a traffic infraction. That is not a crime. You can't even label that a crime. And the officer kept going, well, the crime is speeding. That's not a crime. It's an infraction. A crime is when I injured somebody with the intent to injure them. So you mean I drove down the road with the intent to injure a state, which isn't a person, it's not alive, or it's not a man or a woman, so it's not alive. And that's a crime. So anyway, we went round and round. Finally, they had enough. So then the officer admits, you'll hear him admit on the phone, at the very least, the lieutenant or whatever says, at the very least, we need your name, address, and birth date so we can see if you're not a criminal. And I know what all of that means. You need the organizational information identification so you can see that I'm not committing a crime by administrating this estate when I'm not supposed to. But he doesn't know that. He's got no clue about that. He's talking about crime, that I actually harm or injure someone in society, right? So there's this duality going on that he doesn't even know.
Okay, what was that like, knowing you were having a different conversation than they thought that they were having?
Fun. It was totally fun. I loved it. I was like, this is great. This is the most exciting thing I've done in a long time. It was fun because I knew there's no way you're going to trap me in anything. Trust me, I'm not worried about getting thrown in jail and fine. No. We're going to take this to a level you guys have never even seen before. And that's exactly what happened. So eventually they called another lieutenant that apparently he was in the middle of dinner, so he wasn't happy. He gets out of the car. He doesn't even, now everyone has a right. Okay. We don't answer questions, guys. You have a right. Not information is voluntary. Stop giving it. Okay. When these officers pull up, they are a municipal corporation. Just look up their Dun & Bradstreet profile, which means they must provide you with a few things before proceeding. Name, badge number, right off the bat. What's your name? What's your badge number? Right. The first questions that I always will ask, because it's pertinent. Am I under arrest? No. Am I free to go? No. Bam. This is an investigation, no information. Fifth Amendment says I don't have to give you any information without counsel because this is an investigation. Okay. This guy shows up, seventh officer involved. I said, hey, officer, what's your slam? He smashes the window. Like, didn't even, just because he was pissed because he had to get up from dinner. Oh, well, so that makes it lawful for you to do. That makes it legal for you to do what you just did, only because you're used to doing that to all the other thousands of sleepwalkers out there. I'm not a sleepwalker. I don't have privileges. I have rights because I've already taken all those back and asserted them, which you guys have no idea that I've already done. They don't know what I've done. So they do this. And then, of course, I'm like, all right, you don't have to wrestle me. I'm getting out of the car. Like, I didn't fight with them. I wasn't mean to them. I wasn't yelling at them. I wasn't talking about, the only rights I talked about was my right to not give information and remain silent. I didn't go into, I have a right to travel. I have a straw man, right? None of that. Because I'm already 2 steps ahead of them. They don't even know it. So they pull me out of the car. They arrest me. I'm like, here we go, you know. And the funny thing is, once you're in cuffs, they have to read you your Miranda rights, right? Well, they didn't. He gets me in the car and then he reads me actually what he did was he illegally searched my wallet before reading me my rights, right? Or not my rights, the rights. And so I'm in the front seat of his car because the dog's in the back and I'm cuffed, you know, and he's going through my wallet and he pulls this little thing out. He goes, where'd you get this, off the internet? I said, well, actually, no, that's a very valid legal notice that is recorded in the county. And I carry that because when guys like yourself illegally pull it out of my wallet, you have now been legally notified of my status. Anyway, yeah, I know you don't understand a thing I just said, but just go ahead and put it back in there because you're notified. So you can't get away from it. The public has been notified because it's a public record. What I'm getting at is I created a notice and I recorded it in a county court as general public notice, legal notice. Now that he's holding it, he has actual legal notice because it's in his hand. So he's been notified.
He's been served with it.
He's been served and he's been notified of the commercial status that he's operating in. So anything he does after that, he's violating just about every right that I ever have, you know. So then he reads me my Miranda rights. I said, well, officer, you're a little bit late. Now, none of this is on camera because we're in his car. Anyway, They arrested me. And the first thing I asked them when I got down to the station and they went to book me in, the officer, and these guys were totally kind. I mean, I was kind to them. They were kind. They kept thanking me for being so kind. They were like, man, thank you for just being so, nice and not arguing and all this stuff. Not a problem. I'm not here to argue. I'm just here to do business, just like you guys are. Not a big deal. So he starts to book me. I said, sir, I appreciate your job. I know what you got to do. I said, but is this tied to my social security number by any chance? Any of this information? He goes, well, yeah. I go, well, then I can't give it to you. And he goes, I understand. He goes, just like, I understand. He goes, but real soft-spoken guy. He's like, but, I can't, I have to charge you. I have to charge you. I have to charge you. That's what he kept saying. And I'm like, he's telling me to my face, I have to charge the account. I have to charge the account. I can't hold you here without charging the account because we need the money. He doesn't even know he's saying that. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And if I'm going to do it, it's under threat and duress because I know I'm not consenting to you accessing that account. It was a very good conversation, kind conversation. I understand. So they put me in the cell. Now they have 48 hours to file charges. They're telling me, well, we won't be able to let you go because you didn't give us information. We have to hold you indefinitely. Really? Then why are you guys scrambling at the 44th hour to hurry up and file something? Because if you don't, you have to let me go with no charges or nothing because you can't apply anything to my account. So at the 44th hour, they call me over to the courthouse. Oh, get him out of the cell, get him over to the courthouse. We've trumped up some charges for him. We can find a law that he broke. Most worst complaint written. I mean, this poor attorney, county attorney, I felt bad for him. He works part-time as a county attorney because there's not even enough crime for him to work full-time. Okay. And his complaint was written so bad when I ran it by my attorney friend, he's like, oh my gosh, this is the most horrible work I've seen in a long time. I have done nothing but documented constant violations and exposed the fact that the magistrate, the officers, the prosecutor, they don't even know how to follow constitutional law as it was supposed to be. They have no clue. They don't know how to not violate your rights. They don't. The magistrate kept saying, sir, I'm just trying to be respectful of your rights. Sir, I'm just trying to be respectful of your rights. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, you're a magistrate. You work for the state. You shouldn't have to try to be respectful of my rights. You should automatically know how to not violate them. But because I served them a notice, another one that is filed in the county or recorded in the county, my girlfriend, while I was in the brink, meanwhile, now mind you, I'm in the brink and I'm handwriting affidavits. I mean, just got a pencil. Yeah. The guy brings me, I got a pencil. Yeah. The undersheriff brings me a stack of blank papers and I'm writing affidavit. I'm writing notices, all handwritten, coming right out of my head because I've done this all these years. Meanwhile, she's on the outside. She goes to the Navajo County Recorder's Office, pulls up my record, pulls my affidavit, my declaration of status and power of attorney over the straw man and all. She pulls all that out. She serves it on them, right? So now they're like, what the hell is this? And they're reading it all and they're going, oh, this is way above our pay grade. This is out of our league. Like this guy knows something that we don't even know. So when it came time for my hearing, the judge was so nervous because I knew so much about things he doesn't even look at, but they're all valid. And he could see in my documents that are recorded in the county that they're valid and he's been notified. That he's scared to death. I mean, he's talking to the prosecutor and he's handing him a paper over the bench and he's shaking. Like he's so nervous because he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how I'm going to react. He doesn't know. So he's like, sir, and I'm just trying to be respectful of your rights. Meanwhile, he violated about 4 or 5 of my rights and didn't even know it. I didn't have to call him out on it. I'm like, we'll save this for later.